Well, traveling is awesome. I love it so much. We are about 60 miles away from our destination of Tucson, Arizona, and we blew another tire. This is blowout number 3 for us on the trailer. It is our back axle on the driver's side, so I'm going to go ahead, get out, and change that. Oh, and the good news is, it's starting to rain. Fun!
Alright, tire is fixed and back on. It only rained a little bit while we were putting it back on. Still have about an hour drive until our Tucson campground. So hopefully we can stay intact until then.
We will certainly be nursing the spare until we get there. Here's to hoping we don't blow out a second one like last time.
We are here in In-N-Out in Tucson, Arizona.
Technically, we're out of the In-N-Out, and she doesn't think that joke is funny.
It's not funny. Please, someone tell him. Anyways, this is my first In-N-Out experience. Austin has had it before, but doesn't quite remember having it. It was in Las Vegas. You know.
I don't know.
That is true. But we're waiting in line, so I got my fries animal style, so we'll see how this turns out.
So, In-N-Out, for the first time that I can remember. Let's see if it lives up to the hype. Honestly, the service was really good. I would say, like, Chick-fil-A quality.
Yeah, pretty great service. Let's go.
I will say that's quality. That's quality right there. Going up for a second bite. Hey Tara, what's going on?
We are out here at the Nature Discovery Trail at Saguaro National Park, and I'm taking some pictures of the beautiful saguaros and the other vegetation out here. It's a handicap accessible trail, and we're just kind of scouting out the park to see what we want to do on the weekend and kind of just to see what it all has to offer.
We are on our way to Discount Tire. We've decided that since we've had another blowout in less than 8,000 miles, there's a good chance that our tires might be getting overloaded. It's also possible that we just hit something in the road that I didn't see, which caused this latest blowout. But what we're going to do is we're going to go grab just a tire. We don't really care what it is this time around. found a place to get weighed in tomorrow. We just so happened to be in town of Tucson at the same time as the FMCA's convention, and they have a company called RV Safety there that's doing weigh-ins on a per tire basis. So we should be able to figure out whether or not we're overloading any of our tires and really get some extra information. So if we find out that we're overloaded or we need to up our tire spec or something like that, we'll replace all 4 tires at that point. But we're going to wait off to do that until we have the additional information. So for now, we're just heading to pick up whatever tire they have so that we aren't riding on the spare when we head out of Tucson on Sunday. It's a good bagel.
That's really good.
After our morning adventure, we found ourselves in the position of finally changing the tire. The first thing that we have to do is clear everything up inside and bring the slide outs in. That way we have better access to the tires and so that we don't have any additional weight on the tires. The next thing that we do is, in this case, I know that I'm going to need the majority of my tools, so I grab the whole toolbox, I grab the torque wrench, and I grab a few other things that I know I'm going to need. That includes our old set of leveling blocks that we had broken previously, but decided to keep around just in case we need them, and they are perfect for having to change a tire because they can raise the bottle jack up enough to actually reach the frame of the trailer. The first thing I go to do is to break the tension on the lugs before taking the tire off. In this case, I had over-tightened the lug nuts when changing the spare on the side of the road. Our torque wrench was not giving a proper reading due to lack of clearance from the tire. It was rubbing up against it, and well, I kind of talk about that a little more here in a bit. One of the more difficult things about changing the tire here was the gravel. Since it was pretty large gravel, it was a pretty uneven surface. So I ended up having to clear up a spot so that the leveling blocks could actually not move once I put them down. The other thing was the rock was constantly digging into my legs while sitting or whilst trying to take a knee, which was definitely a massive pain, literally. Here you can see that the leveling blocks that I'm using are broken. I found that even though some pieces are missing, they do just a fine job of raising the jack up enough to be able to reach. It doesn't look like too much pressure gets put onto it. Here in a minute you'll be able to see it does bend a little bit, but from what I can tell, there's no strain being put on that it can't handle. One important thing to make sure is that you have enough objects, whether that's wood planks or what have you, that you can actually make your jack reach the frame of your camper, because you have to be able to get the tire completely free to be able to change it on the side of the road. Here you can see me trying to use our cordless drill to actually just remove the lug nuts. It works on some of them, but not others. And this is because I had over tightened those on the side of the road. Typically, you're just going to want to use a typical ratchet to be able to get this off. It'll take you a lot less time. It's a lot less finicky, and you probably won't break your wrist on the drill like I do here a couple of times. I had noticed that some of the lug nuts seemed to have a little bit of frayed metal at the very ends. The thread and everything looked fine on them, but that frayed metal did have to come off. I ended up using a pair of pliers to just kind of break it off. I don't think it's going to cause any issues with holding the tire on because the threads looked good. The seating did too. I just think that whenever I over tightened it, that caused problems at the very end of the lug. So before you put your lug nuts back on, just make sure they look good. If you have any cracked ones, you're going to want to find a replacement for those pretty quick. I didn't record myself on the next step, which is drop the tire, get it back on the ground, and then use a star pattern and a torque wrench to make sure that each lug is tightened to its specification. Make sure that you do that, otherwise you could have a tire come off. So it's just a nice 91 degrees out here in the shade. It's an awesome day to be out here changing the tire. What I can say is it's not nearly as bad changing it. Once you're actually at a campsite, you have plenty of space to work and you're not worried about getting hit by a car that's passing by. Changing on the side of the road, way worse. The second thing I'd say is if you're going to have the tools, just make sure that you have quality ones and that you have everything that you need. So today when we went to pick up the new tire to have it put on the rim, we went to a Discount Tire. We also stopped at a Harbor Freight to pick up this lovely extension. Let me show you here. This thing is a life changer. Having the proper distance away from the tire is a game changer. Changing on the side of the road the other day, I was really putting a lot of pressure onto the wrench to tighten the lug nuts, expecting the torque wrench to kind of kick when it's supposed to, doing what a torque wrench does, and it rubbing against the side of the tire and it was completely throwing off its reading, I think. So I way over tightened the lug nuts and they were on there really tight when I tried to take them off today. So just make sure that not only can your tools get something off, but can they do it the right way.
to REI, which means we got a bunch of cool new toys and gear, and we're going to show you our REI haul. That was not sponsored at all, but REI, if you want to, hit me up.
So, the first thing we got is my pair of Tevas. These are honestly going to be super freaking awesome for water activities, so like paddling, like some light trails if we have to go to, if we have to walk a small trail to get to where we put in the kayaks, these are going to be awesome. Plus just like kind of walking the dogs at night and stuff, they're a lot easier to put on. So these are going to be awesome. The next thing we got is...
So I also got a pair of Tevas. I was looking for something like this, more substantial than a flip-flop, but better than a tennis shoe. I don't know if it's better than a tennis shoe. It's better for water than a tennis shoe. So, really comfortable. Honestly, I've been wearing them since we got them. Look at all the straps. It's got all the straps. Can make it as adjustable as you need.
Pretty much everything we got after that is camping or hiking related. So we needed to pick up a camping stove. With that, we also got fuel for it. Obviously, we'll have to pick up fuel as we go, but now we can actually cook food while we're on longer hikes or multi-day hikes.
Next thing we got was a first aid kit. So we have a first aid kit. We have a first aid kit for our car that we transfer between our car, our camper, and our hiking backpack. So now this will just be a dedicated one to our hiking backpack, hopefully so that we never would forget it when transferring. But now the hiking backpack has its own, so you're good to go on that front.
One thing that did not come in the hiking or in the like multi-day medical kits was an aluminum splint. These are awesome to help with sprains and fractures. You can basically take this plus an ace bandage and make ankle splint. You can splint an arm. They come in handy for trips and falls. So definitely make sure that your kid has one of these.
The next thing we got was a hat for me, which looks pretty dorky with my glasses on. But I needed a sun hat for better sun protection versus a baseball hat. So hopefully this can do the trick. It's pretty lightweight. I don't know. I feel like it's waterproof. You think it's waterproof? We'll see.
So we already had our hiking backpack. So we have an Osprey Kestrel 38. This is like a 2 or 3 day hike bag. One thing that we did not have for it was hydration pack. So this was something that I've been wanting for a while, and I just finally decided to get. Also carry bottles of water with us so that we have extra water, but especially for drier climates and hotter climates. Being able to stay properly hydrated is awesome. Plus, this keeps it closer to your back instead of farther back, which makes it way, way nicer to carry that much water.
The second to last thing we got were these squeezable gels. I don't know, we've never tried these before, but we're going to be hiking in some warmer, hot, deserty climates, so we thought we'd try these out. Have you ever tried these before? Let us know.
And then the last thing we got from REI was some moleskin. For those of you that have done any sort of hiking, you know that blisters are an inevitability if you hike enough or far enough distance. My hiking boots are getting worn in pretty well, but the left boot always gives me a blister on my heel, so this is just a extra precaution in case I feel a blister start to develop, and hopefully this can help stave those off.
On our way to Tucson, Arizona, we happened to pop a tire, and we just right now would be a great time for us to get our camper weighed and try to figure out maybe what's happening. Since they are newer tires, we only have about 8,000 miles on them. So we're trying to figure out whether the pop tire was a fluke or if something's going on with our weight distribution in our camper.
Yeah, so to be fair, the tires that we had on there were not the greatest. It's what was available when we needed to get them put on, and that could have been the problem. We could have hit something in the road. It's hard to tell. But knowing what our actual camper weight is, knowing kind of what the weight distribution looks like is awesome. The great people at RVSafety.com happened to be at the FMCA convention that happened to be in Tucson at the same time that we were. They were awesome. They were able to help get us in for an appointment to get each tire weighed separately. That is a huge difference in like the information that you get based off of something like a CAT scale. So we're going to take you guys with us to see kind of how that goes.
Yes, and we'll figure out, hopefully this will give us some answers to some of the issues we've been having.
Yeah. After getting the weights checked and checking in with the organizer, we found that we had been overinflating our tires. Not beyond their specification, but we were inflating them more than they actually needed to be to carry the weight of the camper. So here you can see us letting the air out, getting them down to what the recommended tire pressure was. For the truck, the front tires were set at about 58 psi. The rear was set a little higher at about 65. And the camper tires were set to 65 all the way Thank you all for joining us this week. If you liked the content that we put out, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Make sure to hit the bell icon so that you get notified of each video we release. Feel free to go ahead and follow us on our other social media platforms at Two Techie Travelers on Instagram, Pinterest, TikTok, and Twitter.